Oh my gosh, this is so weird. Having some like technical difficulties here. That's good, man. It's a live program.
Must have been Keith.
Right.
That's what makes it fun. You just never know what's going to happen. Keith, so everything's going to be okay. There's Shannon. Oh, okay, now I feel like everything's going to be all right. We got Keith and Shannon here. All right. So, hey, I hope you all are having a great week. I know I am. I mean, it's just like, I just got to pinch myself sometimes, It's just hard to believe that life is so good. Here I am, shower door guy, and life is just like my oyster. So I hope you feel the same way. I hope you're loving it like I am. If you are out there just watching, being a voyeur, you should think about coming in to the Zoom chat room and joining us and chatting with us, because it's awesome. And, it's always fun to have new people in here. Yeah, so do it. The link is there in the description. Click on it. Come on in. So what's going on? Who's got something fun to talk about?
I was thinking about something.
All right.
So I remember once we spoke here, you, Chris, you brought to the table like your goal when you do like a visit to a customer. Your goal is to bring the check with you, right? But when we were talking about like custom shower doors, it's tough to give the price out right away. So what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to make like a spreadsheet to create a price book to aim to bring the check right on the first visit, to close the customer right on the first visit. This is what I'm trying to do. So I'd like to hear from you guys, if you guys have like a price book or something that you guys working on to try to close the deal on the first visit.
Wow, I couldn't have thought of a better topic. That is an awesome topic to talk about. I know there's a lot of people in this group who can give you some sound advice about that. Who's going to start?
So we actually we're just trying to start this new thing where my brother is the one that goes out and measures, right? And I'm at the office pretty much all the time. And we use Smart Toolbox. We use, that integrates with Showers Online, all that stuff. So what we've been doing is we'll give the customer a general price before we go out there, just to make sure that they're in like some type of ballpark, you know what I mean? So they have some general idea of what they're going to be spending, so they're not wasting we're not wasting each other's time. When he's out there, we're just trying to start to implement this. Is when he's out there, he actually calls me and goes over the finer details of the job, so that we can just finalize everything, instead of him emailing me the stuff after he leaves, and then me reaching back out to them and emailing them the final. Here's your final price, and using all the information. It's the same information. He's just standing there. So if there's any questions that I have, that he can ask directly, while he's standing there, as opposed to trying to get them back on the phone, sending them an email, waiting a day, another day goes by and a week goes by, and this job's still like dragging on. So what we're trying to do is he calls me while he's standing there. We try to finalize all the details, and then and then my system spits out a price, and it's the same price that I'm going to give you over email in an hour. And then we just try to get the customer, and then, he has the swipe thing on his phone, and the same way we take the final payment. So we're trying to say, this is your final price. This is what you're looking at. You want to leave the deposit. It's adding a little bit of extra time to the estimating visits, just because of all that extra communication, but it's saving me a ton of time on the back end with the ping pong match of all the questions and answers that I'm trying to answer to the customer from the office, as opposed to my brother just answering while he's standing there, which is a lot more informative and direct. So we've actually just started this, and I've kind of been transitioning it into the schedule to allow him more time with these stops. For the few times that we've been able to do it. It's worked phenomenal. It's just, like I said, it saved me a ton of time on my end after the fact.
Yeah, and also another point that like as more you let the customer think, they're not willing like to do the business after 24 hours as before that, because if you get the customer like in 24 hours, your chances to close the customers is way higher than after that. This is another point too. But yeah, once you have your brother doing the back, you guys like having the back office, you two, it's a good situation. But also I'm thinking something that I can escalate for the future. You know, you guys have a process that works for you, but I was thinking something that like to create a process that I can escalate for the future. And also, I don't know, maybe you guys can think in something like that too. I believe the bigger guys like Billy Breed, Keith, you guys probably have something that you guys can bring to the table for us, right?
Keith is chomping at the bit.
Go.
Hey, Keith, we've seen enough of you on
I'm trying to be polite.
I don't want any more attention.
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
great.
Keith,
Yeah.
I haven't seen your face in a while.
Yeah,
Thank
I almost never see this guy.
Yeah.
Just getting caught up. But I think what you're asking is probably one of the best questions I've heard on this group so far. And just to really at a macro level, at a very high level, everybody on here, we all done some form of advertising in the past. The likelihood of getting a customer versus the amount of time and money we put in advertising is so small. So now you have this opportunity to get in the customer's house. It is incumbent upon you to provide the best possible service to eliminate any possible competition coming in after you. Because like my brother always says, you don't want to give the third base coach an opportunity. Like if you don't give a price at the house, they go out to dinner. They're like, yeah, I had her out. We're thinking about getting a new shutter. Oh, I know a guy. And before you know it, it even might be a nitwit, but it's giving them an opportunity. Whereas if you can satisfy that opportunity while you're there, they mentally check it off in their head and it probably doesn't even come up in conversation unless you gave like really good customer service, and then it's a potential referral. And so to break it down, what we did our first 2 years, Doug and I saved literally every single takeoff that we did. Now, this was before we even had CRM or social media, nothing. We literally had a little journal where we put the name, the address, and then we wrote the type of door. And where that bode well for us is when we started to streamline the sales process, we said, geez, 90% of our doors are a 5-foot tub slider, a 5-foot door and panel, and a 4x4 door notch panel return. And this probably changes in every segment of the country, depending on where you're at. Some people have fiberglass units, some people have tiled units. But at the end of the day, it's like that 80-20 rule. Most of your business is going to be the same shit. So you've probably priced the same door 100 times. Like shame on you if you're calling somebody in your office to price out the same door you've called them 4 other times for that week. When you could be using your time and resource building rapport, leading to trust with the consumer. Because at the end of the day, they're letting a stranger in their house. They're giving you an opportunity to close the deal. If you're not prepared to do that, that's your loss. And just know that you're lessening your opportunity of closing ratio. That doesn't mean you're not going to close it. Now, the easiest way that we've kind of like restructured this over the years is, what your glass cost is, what the fab charges are. So like you already know what a door is going to cost. Write that down in the corner of your book. It's $200, whatever it is. You know what the hinges and handle are going to cost. If you take the square footage and multiply it by your cost of goods sold, like you know what your cost of goods sold number is, and then whatever margin you want. So let's say I go into a door and panel and our cost of goods sold is $500 and we want to carry a 70% gross profit margin. Take the 500, divide by 0.30, and boom, there's my number. Now, as you do more of these, you can really structure it in a price booklet. But you can never go wrong if you take your cost of goods sold and a firm gross profit margin that you want to carry. And there's your formula. Cost of goods sold, by your gross profit margin, and there's your number. And it'll be consistent forever. Doesn't matter the configuration type, because you're going to add for the miters, you're going to add for beveling, different hardware, upgrades, all that cost of goods sold will fluctuate, but you already know all these numbers. And if you don't, you should, because it's the only way you'll be able to scale the business for sure.
Wow.
Yeah, but you guys on your retail stores, you guys have like a price book that you have like dimensions, type of shower, and you have like 58 by 60 by 76, and boom, this is the
Then
price.
we add for 84, add up to 96. We add for, vibrant brush bronze. We add for low iron, I'll send you
Add
a page.
clips.
I'll take a snippet of a page. Actually, I could, if I send it to Chris, you could probably put it up on the screen, right?
Yeah,
If anybody's interested
you
in
can
seeing it.
share your screen, Keith,
I don't know how to
if
do
you
it.
want to.
I don't know how to do it.
No,
I don't know how to do it.
I
Get
messed
it
up
on
and did it
over.
last week, so
Okay.
if I can do it, you can do it.
So we
Yeah.
do the same thing. We'll send customers a base price. This is your price for 3, it's clear. And then in the description, it'll say add whatever, 250 for low iron, add 325 for shower guard. So at least they have some general idea of what they're looking to spend. When you're there, they've already thought about these options. They know what they cost. They thought about the options. They should have some idea of, I want the low iron. You know what I mean? They have an idea in their head of what they're willing to spend. So when you're there, they don't have to think about it. They should have already thought about it if they read, the initial quote that you sent. So we do a lot of the same thing. Because honestly, if you sell a 48-inch opening or a 49-inch opening or 47-inch opening, price them all out at 48. Some you make $20, some you lose $20. In the end, it doesn't really matter. If you get one more job out of streamlining it, you've just made 10, 20 over. So, if you're chasing, pennies to save nickel, chasing, it just doesn't work. So, I mean, you just.
True.
That's a good point, Michael. It's just made there, because I'm thinking about when I was, kind of making that transition from going out to measure and then telling, okay, well, I'll send you an email later with a price. And then I was going back to my desk and like figuring it out, sending out an email. I just realized at some point, man, I'm blowing it. I need to be quicker with this. And I just started kind of guessing, guesstimating it. And I try to go a little bit more on the high end, so I wasn't, missing something. I didn't want to be shooting myself in the foot. But it's just like you were saying, Michael, like if I came in a little low, it was worth it to make the deal.
The job's over. You can move on.
And I'm not going to do that for very much. I mean, I'm not going to underbid very many times because it stinks, So I'm going to remember what that felt like, and I'm going to remember the next time I do it. And then, it's become more sophisticated for me over time. I mean, not nearly as sophisticated as Keith. Of course, he's the prince of sophistication, but
Keeping it consistent, you guys, especially for those of you that have builders, they're going to give you 2-3 jobs a month. Don't think for a second that, they're not watching their pennies either. They do the same jobs. They're looking at it. They might not catch it as much because it's not a huge ticket item, but hey, that last door you sold me was $1,200. Why is it $1,275? And like, that just disrupts the rapport built. Like, I don't want to spend time defending that. I want to spend time kissing his ass so I can get more jobs. And so I think there's something to be said for keeping it really consistent, especially if you plan on having, I like to say I'm not greedy. I'm long-term greedy, which means I want their business forever. And to get it forever, I need to be consistent. Because it's the easiest way to defend it as long as there's consistency.
Well, one of the variables that we cannot control is our supplier charges us for outages, right? So we'll send a base price. It's based on, sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. If we go out there and it's perfectly square, we make a little bit more than if there's an outage on the left, right, and bottom. I mean, they're going to charge us whatever it is to cut these things out of square.
When was the
eat
last
it.
time everything was perfectly square? Right? Add in some outages.
Yeah, I know, but
to
you know
be
what I
sure.
mean. Like if it's a 60-inch door in a panel and the bottom's off an eighth, doesn't really matter. But I'm not going to have the things cut out a square 16th of an inch and to get charged more. But that's one of the variables we can't control. But it's just something we look the other way on, because to go back to the customer and be like, hey, I know I gave you this price, but your walls are off, and you start going down that path. And it's like, what do you mean my walls are off? And now you're on a whole nother tangent of, it's an eighth of an inch, it's within tolerance, blah, blah, blah. And so like, we just leave it. Like if I give them a price and it's within, unless they change something drastically, like they go from chrome to oil rubber, brush, whatever, then I leave it alone. Just like Keith said, the consistency is good if you can leave it alone and just keep grinding.
Yeah, if you add in a couple of outages, you can't go wrong. You can always back off.
Yeah, they like that.
But it's hard to add. But I use a spreadsheet that I'm constantly tweaking and trying to make sure that it gives me something correct. But the spreadsheet's how I roll. So,
Keith, are we looking at your grocery list?
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't know what the heck is grocery.
Whose
It's not my
groceries?
shit.
I didn't know whose grocery list we were looking at.
It's not mine.
it's you, Chris.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Let me see
Are we
here.
going Tuesday at 2 o'clock to 9?
Chris, that's you, in case you didn't know that.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know how I can take a joke. Let me
Groceries.
see here. I'm just trying to figure out where that thing was that I was just trying to share a minute ago.
It was up there.
It was for a second, huh? Let me see here. I'm going to regroup and we'll try that again.
Spent a lot of money there.
Oh yeah, man. All kinds. Yeah. So who else? I know Brandon's here. I know he's got a good angle on this whole pricing on site thing. If he wants to share some of his kung fu. I know it's top secret stuff.
Yeah, right. We price on site, or we'll price. Typically, we're pricing before we even go on site, and if we have to make adjustments, we make them right there on the site. So, and we price similar to Keith with margins. That way every job is priced the same with the same factors, so we're consistent and it's not different from one customer to another. We do it a little bit different. Keith and I talked actually in Vegas about that. And I've been actually going back and forth. We've been pricing some really big jobs because I wanted to see how it worked with bigger railing jobs, the way we priced them compared to how they were pricing them. And it's really similar. Like we're coming up with the same thing. It's just, his way almost takes out, it's the thoughtless, you can train easier because you can screw up really bad with labor if you don't know how much labor to add to a job. But if you just know what your margins need to be, it's really easy to do it off margins. So typically the way we price is we'll take our cost of goods and we'll mark it up whatever our factor, whatever it is. If we're marking it up 150% or 200% or whatever, and then we're adding labor on top of that and tax on top of that and all that. So it's just worked out a different way.
The really cool thing about that too, Vidor, is let's say you get 2 salespeople. Now you want to start figuring out how to pay them commission, but you're just running lean and mean, kind of guessing willy-nilly. If you know that your business needs to receive 70% gross profit margin, you set your price list at 74%. All that extra 4% over the year can be used for your commissions, growth, and it gives them flexibility to negotiate in the field with the customer. Should they have to come down on price, at the end of the day, you don't want to be bothered. Oh, can I take 25 here, 25 there? You don't have time to take those calls. So if that's already built in, it gives them some flexibility out in the field.
Within the range.
There ain't no negotiation over here. No.
Same. Never split the difference. I'm just setting a baseline here, Brando.
So hey, I think I'm successfully sharing this. Let me do that again. I think I've got it figured out now here.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's what I want to share right there. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, that's what Keith sent me. That's his little cheat sheet for pricing. Very kind of you to share that with us. So you can just go
Of
ahead and
course.
do a little
Yeah,
screen
thank you.
capture if you want, or just hit me up and I'll send it to you. But that's a cool little tool for
So what we're looking at here is like when we go into our door and panels on our iPad, there'll be ones with channeling. So this one's done, as you see in the beautiful drawing I did on paint, very high
Nice.
end. Okay. Even
High end, man.
you can even see the streaks on the glass.
Yeah.
It's not ultra clear, obviously. So
right.
that's got U channel on it. And so everything's priced basic 3/8 standard clear glass. The first line is up to 79 inches high. We set that as our norm because that's what we went and bought or manufactured a bunch of stock doors. So they're pre-made. You guys all bought stock doors, 28 by 79. Now, if the customer wants to go up to 84, they're adding an additional 125. If they want to go all the way up to 96, it's 250. And then you see over on the right-hand side, if they want to do it with clamps, we have, that's some of our own nomenclature for HDSO is kind of our own sleeve over. Then you'll see all the metal finishes, polished nickel, polished brass, oil rub bronze. And we've kind of have these sheets made up for about 20 different configurations. Then there's a page where if it's a custom, it kind of shows the work that I explained, how we get our cost of goods sold. And we're completely transparent with everybody in here. It makes it a lot easier to scale. Like when you start worrying about everybody seeing certain numbers and it, I don't know, this just worked for us. That's what we.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most surprising things for me that's happened since I've started, really kind of collaborating with a lot of other people like this, like with this group and just sharing information with a lot of other people in the industry. What a good idea it has been to share information. And it's like, it's a little counterintuitive. I mean, you think that like, oh, I'm giving away my stuff, or whatever, and it's gonna kill me, somehow. That's not true at all. I mean, in fact, the opposite is true. And it's weird how your mind plays tricks on you like that. What Keith is saying is dead on. It's like,
Chris, this is what you just said really hits up. There was a point in our company, and everybody here's probably experiences, for probably 10 years. We didn't want people on social media. We didn't want them showing anything in our factory because, oh my God, we're giving away the secret sauce. We can't show anybody our factory. Then someone else is going to go spend $10 million tomorrow and build a factory. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. And really, just like these real estate books, 99% of the people are never going to take action. That's just a fact. 99% won't. However, the ones that take the positive out of it, there's just so much more to get out of it. And so that's when I started doing all social media, Brandon. Like, we're showing everything. I'm not afraid of my competition. My father even would say, why are you showing BCB homes in the background? Now our competitors are going to call it like, oh, really, Dad? What's that say for our relationship if they're just willing to drop us and go to somebody else? Like, that doesn't happen. And we really believed that for a long time. It held us back. And so that's why we're able to scale the business in the last 3 years. We doubled.
wow.
Because now we don't subscribe to exactly what you just said. We were just so proud and figured we had to keep it close to our vest that it really hindered us from growing. Really did.
Also, yeah, my father, he raised me with this kind of mindset. You share whatever you have with with everybody, and this is how the human being can move forward. Share your knowledge, whatever it is.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what this group is all about,
There was a post I made, it was a long time ago I made in this group, and it was, I forget, I don't even remember what it was, but there was a guy in there who was like, man, you can't like share trade secrets and stuff like that. These are secrets. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, knowledge, you should pass it off like a hot potato. Like, I mean, just keep giving the knowledge. Like, it's gonna, it's going to come back around. Like Keith said, 99% of people aren't going to take anything and do anything with it. I mean, you look at all these guys, Gary Vee and all these guys, they literally lay out their whole blueprint. Like even some of the coaches lay out their whole blueprint on social media, and then they charge you to be in their coaching group, and they say the exact same thing in their coaching group that they say on social media, but you're paying for it. So then you pay attention more to it, but they're saying the exact same thing they're giving away for free. So
yeah, just put it like in a compilation to make it easier for you to go through the subject. That's it.
My entire social media platform is me repackaging every single thing I see Gary Vee do, just so everybody knows. I completely bite off of 99% of the stuff that he posts. And it's unbelievable. My social media has been on fire. It's because I know 99% of people aren't ever going to do it. They just won't do it. Unbelievable.
It's all the same stuff that everybody's always been saying for like hundreds of years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's nothing really new about it, you know. And it's like, you know, I started getting into this thing, you know, I became curious about why successful people were successful, you know, and then others weren't, you know. I just had this weird kind of time in my life a few years back, and I just became really interested in that. I started reading everything. I mean, you know, name a book, you know, a self-improvement book, you know, I read them. And what I found out was like everybody was saying exactly the same thing. And really the key is like, figure out what you want. And then like, if you can do that, you really don't need any of those books. All you have to do is really decide on something that you really want.
Yeah.
I mean, that single act really is what sparks the whole thing, you know. But the average person, that's not just the average person, I would say 99 out of 100 people, if you ask them, hey, if you had one wish, you could have anything in the world you wanted, what would it be? 99 out of 100 people could not answer that question, you know. And it's amazing. So yeah, think about that.
A good idea is nothing without an action.
What's that?
No, a good idea is nothing without an action.
Yeah, you gotta do it. Just do it, baby. Just win, baby.
That's right.
You know, I think what all this boils down to really is do what works for you, right? I mean, it may be a compilation of what everybody is doing, but we just in the last few minutes, we saw examples of probably 3 or 4 different examples of way people come about pretty much the same number, right? Either a percentage or a margin or this or that spreadsheet or a stock sheet or however you do it, but they all come to the same point, which is getting the customer a price while we're on site. And so I guess really, Vitor, to answer your question, really specific, or I guess really general, do what works for you, because that's really in the end where it comes down to.
Yeah, in our area, none of our shops will give prices on site. You know, they go back and figure it out and send it back.
Do you, Tim?
And if you do, you stand out from the crowd.
Fuck yeah.
Nobody has the iPads and
Yeah.
the shops. And even the big shop, they go out and measure it and bring it back. And when people call us and well, I never got a quote from, you know.
Yeah. I mean, have any of you guys ever gone out to meet someone on a sales call and had them say, yeah, your competitor was out here 2 weeks ago. They sent a guy out, he took measurements and he never called me back again.
Happens all the time.
That's crazy, isn't it? How can somebody do that?
It takes 2 to 3 weeks for people to get out to measure where I'm at right now. So if I'm out there tomorrow and I give an estimate by that night, tomorrow night, I'll have the job. It's that easy. But that's because there's not enough people here to do the work. There's like a mini boom going on where I live right now.
Where's this?
There's not as many people to do the work. So if you show up first and get the bid to them first, if they don't call you back, I call them the next day and make sure they got my email. Follow up, just following up, seeing if I can answer any questions. A lot of them will call me back in 2 weeks and say you got the job because the other company won't show up.
Mhm.
And if they do, they don't call back with the bid. And it's just, that's the difference, I think. So,
I had a
a-
guy,
and then also I'm the owner. I'm not sending an employee out.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference as well.
Makes a difference.
But I'm a small company. I've got me and 2 guys, so.
just like me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for some
exactly.
people, I mean, not everybody feels that way. Not everybody wants the owner to come out, but some people do. Absolutely. I mean, that's been my experience. It's like, but it's just like, if you're just a one man show sort of a thing, you don't have to cater to everybody. You can cater to a very, very small group of people. So, and it could be those people that like want, an owner operator to come and do the work,
And you build a reputation of doing what you say you're going to do when you do it. And that means a lot, up here. So that you build a reputation of getting there, doing what you say you're going to do. And then once you do that, the word spreads, and you reduce your advertising cost. So,
Mhm.
but
Where
that's
are you
not
at,
for
Greg?
everybody.
Where are you from, Greg?
I live in Kalispell, outside of Kalispell, Montana.
Oh,
Okay.
Montana?
Yeah.
Is it? I'm going there next week.
Are you really?
Yeah, I got a job in the Yellowstone Club in Big Sky.
Nice.
Yeah.
Real nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
Through
I go
social
down.
media. Through social media.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm north, way north of there. I'm up near the Canadian border, near Whitefish Mountain Resort. But I have done work in Big Sky. So I've gone down there and done work, and people have paid me to go travel 6 hours and to do the entire 7,000 square foot home. And
Wow.
they've asked me to come back and do the next one. So
That's cool.
it's because I think so many people are moving here with money,
Mhm.
and there's just not enough people that know quality and do quality work that they're willing to pay you anything to come and do it. So we're in a good area.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful place.
Awesome.
I know
Nice.
that. And I mean, it's one of the most
Yeah.
beautiful places in the country.
Cold
It
AF
is.
though.
Yeah, it's cold. Yeah. You gotta like
It's
snow.
cold. Yeah. There's a lot of snow on the ground, like
Oh.
7 inches today so far, just today. So yeah, bundle up. And next week it's going to be 10 degrees.
Oh.
The low's going to be 10.
Price is
and the
going
high's
up.
gonna-
No
Price
way.
The
is
high's
going
going to
up.
be 20 degrees.
I say
Well,
when
you
the
get-
weather goes down, the price goes up.
That's right.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It gets slippery up here. So it's
What kind? Yeah, what kind of truck you use there?
I use all EcoBoost 150 Fords. Yeah.
4x4?
Oh yeah.
All-wheel
You have
drive?
to have 4-wheel drive. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good segue for a question. How do people charge for jobs that are maybe out of town? Like if you're going to travel more than an hour and a half or 2 hours, do you guys do a line item extra on top of your quotes for the mileage, or how do you guys handle that?
We call it window time, travel time.
Windshield.
And lately there's such a demand. My rate is $90 an hour per man, and they pay it. So
if
if
you
it's
have a 2-man crew, that would be $180.
That's right. Yeah. If it's an hour and a half each way, that's 3 hours to my price.
So
Right, or another way to look at it too is if you're spending a night, like you're killing a day, I not only price that job in what these gentlemen are talking about, but I also price for missed opportunities.
yeah,
I learned that the first time I went to Montana, I was gone for 3 days and it was good, made good money. I missed out on, a half a dozen opportunities in my own backyard. So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
those are kind of like and plus all the phone calls that you got to make when you get back. Like there's a lot of headaches that happen while you're gone. You got to take when you get back too. So,
Yeah.
I put value on that as well.
Mhm.
I don't like
Definitely.
it, but it makes it easier knowing there's
That's,
at
that's
least a comma in front of the numbers.
But you have to somehow calculate that out or kind of
Yes.
get kind of an idea. And that's what I'm trying to come up with myself.
Yeah.
So we got an hourly rate that our company makes. So our company, every man out there costs a certain dollar amount, whether it's $400 or $500 an hour, whatever, however big your company is. And we'll take whatever, potential loss to go do a job out of state. How much more could we be doing? How many installs could we do in state by the time we finish this job out? So it's got to make sense for us. And
That's good business.
if
smart.
it's out of state, if we get it, we get it. If not, it is what it is. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Years ago, we did a house up in Los Altos Hills for a contractor we did work for. And it took an hour and 45 minutes to get there. And he paid the travel time and everything for us to go there.
that goes along with like go backs when employees think that, oh, it's just a go back to adjust a door. It doesn't take that long, but when we let them know, like, look, it takes 2 guys an hour to drive there, adjust a door and get it done. Like, look at the potential job. You just lost out on a door and panel you could have did in that same time frame of going back and adjusting the door and driving there. So there's that potential loss too. So
This house, the contractor had Giro glass come up and do, it's an 85-foot diameter house. And he had Giro glass come up out of LA and put the glass in, and that was something else.
Well, Brandon, that was a really good point. How do you handle out-of-state warranty work, like an adjustment or something?
you cry whenever you have you try to, depending on what it is, you try to make a friend over there at
That's right.
take care of you and just pay them to take care of it. And hopefully there's someone that you know in this group that can maybe take care of it. I don't know.
There you go.
Or hopefully you have other work out there that you can make another trip to make it worthwhile. I don't know. So
Sell them something else while you're there adjusting your door. Sell them some candy or something.
we try not to do out of state work unless it makes sense, but that's another reason we pad the job so much. Like even when we mark up the glass for out of state work, it gets marked up way more than it would if it was local. So we try to take that into consideration.
Sometimes if you price the job really high and they want to negotiate, the first thing I say is, if I didn't have to worry about coming out to do a door adjustment ever, no warranty, I might think about lowering the price a little bit. And that takes that right off the table. I'll talk you through it. If there's something with FaceTime now, I can do it over the phone. If you know how to turn a screwdriver, we can do this together. And now I got that no more anxiety about having to worry.
Brilliant. Wow, that's pretty smart, man. Yeah.
Tail light warranty.
Or you go do, or if it's somewhere nice.
It's just like in California, if you work on public jobs, you have to pay the prevailing wage. And we'd been on, work. We wouldn't pay it until the guy stepped foot on the property. He got paid, if it took an hour to get there, he got regular pay. And once he stepped foot on the property, then he would get paid his prevailing wage.
Doesn't sound like one of my customers.
I wasn't here last week, but I'd like to point out to everybody, if they didn't know, that Chris and Tim is extremely tall, a lot taller than I thought. And Chris was surprising to me. He was a lot shorter than I thought. But I will say, I never laughed so hard in my life.
That is hilarious. Me and my brother used to work together as a crew. And it's like, we had, I don't know, we had kind of a bad attitude because it's like, we knew we were good, we were working on high rises and stuff. And if a company wouldn't let us work together, we would just quit. We would drag up and go to work for some other shop that would let us work together. But it's funny, we would roll up on a job and people would see us, they go, "Oh man, you the Phillips brothers? Oh man, we thought you'd be taller." They said that to us all the time. Hilarious.
Yeah, that's what Christina said to me in Las Vegas. You're a lot taller than I thought you were.
That's what I said when I met Brandon was, I said, wow, you're a lot taller than I thought you were. I mean, looking at you on camera. Yeah, he was tall.
Yeah, Chanson's a tall guy too, man. He's
was even taller.
Yeah.
Got nice hair too. Had that man bun.
That's why I'm in the front of every picture. It's just, You wouldn't see me if I wasn't.
Let me tell you, you moved up a notch in my book, getting in the front of that thing with Steve. You two guys are animals. Animals.
That was awesome, man. Those were some good times right there, man.
On the top of the Strat, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah, in that thing. I mean, oh my God. Oh my
Dumped us
God.
over the side, huh?
That was the scariest part of my life, for sure. 100%.
Did anybody jump?
No.
No,
No.
no.
No
I had
jumping.
everything to do to walk. My knees were knocking. I was shitting my pants.
Oh yeah.
Bit of a topic. So first off, shout out to Adrian. He was talking to Mike over at Top Golf, my husband, and mentioned that to keep hinges from shifting, he, slammed them all the way up to the top of the glass. Well, makes sense, but we didn't like the idea of not having any adjustment. So we went home and started working on putting 1/8-inch shims on the top of each of the hinges. But then also the key was putting a 16th shim on the front of the bottom hinge. And when we set that up in our little training cube, we set that up and then we tightened the screws with our fingers. So the hinge was not even clamping the glass at all, and let it sit there for a good week in a closed position, nothing underneath it, in an open position, stayed. It seems to be working out. We've got one of our guys doing that in installation and kind of testing out how to make sure that the gaskets, keeping the gaskets straight while this shim's in there and stuff, and just kind of testing things out before we roll it out. But I know we've had this conversation before about slippage, of course, the bane of all our existence. So I wanted to find out who else was kind of pre-setting, pre-blocking. Yeah.
We block all of our hinges. So
Do it all the time.
whenever we do, we block it. So we'll put them all the way to the top, or we'll put an 1/8-inch shim in there to give us a little room if we need to pull that 1/8-inch shim down to move the door a little bit. But we block it where the Mickey Mouse ear is. So because it can't, if you stick setting blocks in there straight and then cut them off with the razor blade, it can't. And then if you overdo it and then pull it back tight to get it where you want the door to set and tighten it down, it won't ever move unless the walls start to move.
Mm-hmm.
So now, are you doing that in the shop before
We
you
do
go
it.
out?
We do it in the field, right when
the
it's
field.
done. So it's just all you got to do is you literally, once you have your door up, you can clamp your door. You can take the top screw out of the plate, loosen the bottom one, and the plate will slip down and spin. And then you can stick them in there, wedge it where you want it, and then cut it, and then put it right back, and you're done. It just takes like 2 minutes.
I remember you showing me that, and you guys use like the Pinnacle hinges, right? Just for that purpose.
Using Pinnacle or Geneva's, a square or beveled, you can do it in those as long as they got the Mickey Mouse ears. So
yeah, and you can, and I've tried that. I've tried exactly what you're talking about. You showed me that. You can take the top screw out and back out the bottom screw, and it'll just pivot, and you can like block them just like that. Like you're saying, you block them between the glass and the little mouse ear.
Yep.
And you can just finger tighten this screw and let it down, and it will stay, even without clamping it down tight.
We don't ever have go backs for doors slipping unless it's an installer not doing his part. But
Well, what if you have to use like a heavier hinge, like a Vienna or something?
they still have the Mickey Mouse cutout, so you can still do it with those.
That's
and then
true.
the top and bottom pivots like never slip. So
We do it in-house in the shop before the glass goes out. And then we also put a dab of super glue on them.
Super. Wow. All right. There you go.
Where are you putting the super glue?
On the gasket, especially if you're doing.
Okay.
Just keep the gaskets from slipping around.
An 01, or you're doing
Yeah.
a one of
I do that too.
Super glue, the perfect application for super glue is something that really doesn't.
And it
that-
keeps it in place.
Yeah, it's something that doesn't really need to be glued permanently, but just needs to be glued temporarily. That's the perfect use for
So
super
you
glue.
use
because
a
it won't-
header and you got a PPHO one at the top and the channel.
Yeah.
And you're trying to hold the gasket up there and putting the glass in, it falls
Yep.
out. So
Yeah, I do that too.
Yep.
So Tim, do you have a fancy rack for transporting that glass with the hinges already installed?
we wrap them. We open up the Sierra Lawrence box and they come with a white wrapping around it. We just put that around the hinge and
If you use a windshield rack in the back of a van, it's real easy. You just put the hinges up, slip it right in there.
I don't have any No,
Oh,
we just
yeah.
take that white wrapping they put around the hinge, put a blue tape across one side, hit it, and then close it into the hinge and works fine.
Ah.
Brandon, can you explain one more time, just for me, if you could, how the hinges, how you put the setting blocks in the mouse ears?
Yeah, I'll try to find, I have a diagram too that shows exactly how it's done. I'll try to find it too one of these days. But so essentially you have you have your rectangle cut out, and then you have the little Mickey Mouse ear cut out. And then when you go in where the screws go into the little Mickey Mouse area. So the glass right there, you stick it on the top where it kind of, it's cut straight, and then it kind of curves up right there. So right in that spot where the glass would fall towards your right side, you just stick your setting blocks in there, straight in there, and then you just chop them off. So you only have like a, 1/4 inch of the setting block stuck in there. So whatever your gap needs to be, you find this, stack your setting blocks, whatever they are, 1/8 or 16th or whatever, stick it in there and cut it off. And we overcompensate to where it leaves a little bit of a bigger gap, and then we pull it towards the strike side and then tighten it down that way. So it's already tight in there.
Just cut our
Nice.
setting blocks in half and stick them in here.
And I
So are you
believe
putting it
there's
on
a
the vertical?
diagram on CR Lawrence. I think CR Lawrence has a diagram showing suggested hinge blocking.
I think
They
so.
might now, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
They probably stole it from
Christina, our
around.
guys do that, or they know how to do that.
They know how to do it, but they're more likely to listen to somebody who looks cool like Brandon than to listen to me.
Wow, that's how you deploy empathy right there.
Yeah.
Wow, nice job.
It's what all the cool kids are doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is cool. He is cool.
Yeah.
Got it all on video. Thank you, Brandon.
That's cool.
Absolutely. Good
Brando,
stuff.
what type of anchors, wall anchors, are you guys using?
Ooh,
I
good
got-
question.
Three
I got
16 gray plugs for
I got
everything.
the quarter-inch greens, and
These
also
are greens.
I also got the one that you referred to us, Keith, a couple of weeks ago.
The Cobras.
Let me grab them. Just give me a sec. I'll find
Cobra,
out.
Cobra.
Yeah, it was the Cobra.
Yeah, Cobra.
Yeah, I got some of those
I
too.
got those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used that for a sliding 75 inches sliding door. So I use those Cobras.
Do you all use 3/16 bits always and 3/16 plugs?
I do. We,
Yes. That's what I do.
unless it's glass tile, we use 1/4 inch raw plugs,
Yep. Okay. And then you push
Yeah,
it past the glass.
push them past the glass, make sure there's backing back there. Otherwise it's eventually going to break it. But
Yeah, I take tube wax and use a starter screw and thread it into each plug, just a few threads, so that it plants that plug or that screw where I want it to go. And then it gives it a little bit of lubrication, so your number 3, if it's a little worn, 3 tip isn't stripping that screw and you're getting a good bite.
Mhm.
Does anybody
smart.
else use like 2 blacks? Anybody else use 2
I
blacks?
have done it before. It's like, it's not a bad idea. It's just
No.
kind of an extra step. It's a little bit messy,
Yeah, you got a
Um,
little clean.
but it's a good idea.
Yeah.
It'll stop you from breaking screws off.
Yeah.
It take an
Yeah.
extra minute, but it's not a bad policy, I think.
I shoot
Yeah.
a little silicone
Hey,
in the
Christine,
anchor
I got
before
a-
I send my screw.
I got a demonstration.
Silicone's a good idea. That also will
Yeah.
lubricate it a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Christina, here's a demonstration of the hinge. See this? Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
There you go.
So Tim,
back to my penny.
you're pre-blocking the hinge,
Right
but
there.
you're not setting it on the door until you get to the site.
Well, I do it in shop.
So
Oh,
we're,
you set the hinge on the door in the shop and transport it?
Yeah,
Wait,
Brando,
keep it
that's not what
one
you're
second.
talking about though, is it? There, you gotta set it up a little bit higher, right? So
Oh.
it seats in there?
yeah, so I'm gonna, like, if you look at this picture right here,
Yeah.
my good drawing, where's my camera?
yeah, there you go.
So you see the
Love
little-
it.
so you block it right there. You just stick it in right there and then it can't
Go anywhere.
oh,
You
you're
can't
putting on the, you're putting on.
Love that. Thank you.
And then you can
Yeah.
also put, like how Tim has, you can put an 1/8 inch setting block across right here and push it all the way to the top. So it's sitting all the way down and then you can block it right there.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
Chris.
in conjunction with what Shannon was saying too, of like putting
Correct.
a setting block on the outside of the bottom hinge. Like
Chris, why
between
aren't you
the-
3D printing 16th, 8th, and 3/16 preset ones to sit on top of there with a little scooper on it?
Shh. You're telling my secrets,
No,
man.
just send me the royalties. I want 10 cents for
Yeah.
every royalty.
You want royalties now? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, yeah, actually,
Hey dog shims.
yeah.
Hey, Dodgers! Woo!
Woohoo!
You heard it
I'm
here first, folks.
rich.
We actually 3D print a lot of parts, like stuff like that. That would, if we use those, we would do that. Absolutely. Save on that time. Just one extra step, you're picking up seconds.
Yeah. I'm 3D printing my own wall plugs. I've got a
Really?
better anchor. It's not quite ready for retail yet, but I've got a pretty badass anchor actually.
Well, you got a bunch of people that could field test it for you. That's for
Yep.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got to get the material just right. I mean, it's, getting it to where it's like soft enough, but stiff enough, but like, won't split, but will, getting it that mix just right is the big thing.
That's cool.
But
That's cool.
Well, I still don't know what the Cobra is.
oh, it's anybody got one handy?
It's a what? Yeah,
I'll
there
grab
she
one.
is.
Is that,
Yeah,
Is that it,
there,
Keith?
there it is. Look at that. Hold on.
No, that's not it.
No,
No?
no,
No. Oh, yeah. That's it right there.
yeah, that's the one.
It's just heavy. I mean, it doesn't look like anything revolutionary, but it's just meteor. Like we put all of our wall hinges on this board with all the different types of anchors. We had a guy in the shop. He was like 250 pounds stand on every one of these. And that one right there couldn't get it out of the wall. Literally couldn't get it out of the wall. You get them at Depot, I think. They're a little bit more expensive, but totally worth it.
Well, I never have any problems with the regular
Knock on wood.
anchors I get from Sierra Lawrence.
Knock on wood.
You guys found there?
Are people having problems with anchors, with like the gray anchors?
I haven't had any problems yet.
Yeah.
I never have problems.
It depends on what we're anchoring though. If we're anchoring something that's more critical than a door, we'll use something a little different. If it's like some of the big sliders, only one, you got one screw on each side and that's it. So we might do a bigger plug over there. But
We might consider that for Ronan's PSA before I forget, Brad.
Yeah.
Retrofit, no studding.
a lot of people buy the shoulderless gray 3/16 gray plugs too, or they cut the heads off, but we leave the heads on because it still helps grip in there so it doesn't go too far, because you can push it in too far and it's not getting a good bite. But if you just hit them with a mallet, you can flatten them out pretty good. So they don't unless it's an offset hinge. Offset hinge seems to always rock that middle screw right there if you leave the shoulders on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got both. Sometimes if you need to adjust the door, you can leave the heads on one side, shave the heads on the other, and that gives you a little adjustment on your plate. So if the door's always holding open, you can adjust it to be more centered or something, you know.
So if you're using like a 3/16 hole, you're drilling tile with like a 3/16 drill, and then putting a gray plug in there, and then putting a number 10 screw in there, you're not cracking tiles like that?
No.
Even though the plug is all the way through the tile?
So we'll oblong, depending on what tile it is, like it's easy to crack ceramic tile just because it's flaky and weak. But if you oblong the hole as you're drilling it, like if you drill 3/16 angled a little bit and like kind of oblong it a little
Just
bit,
warble it out a little bit.
give it a little bit more room, and then obviously you don't over tighten ceramic tile. You don't have an issue, but they grab better. You can just feel them grab a lot better with the 3/16 plug with the number 10.
Absolutely, I totally agree, because that's what I do. I'll just knock the plug all the way through past the tile. I mean, if it's like porcelain, you really don't have to worry about cracking it. I mean, if it takes you, 5 minutes to drill through a tile, you're not going to have to worry about cracking it with a screw. But but if it's like softer tile, I'll tap that plug all the way through to make sure that it's not expanding inside the tile and cracking it. That's the only, other than that, I mean, I do it exactly the same way you're talking about.
So the biggest reason people crack tiles when they're drilling in, because they say, oh, it didn't crack when I drilled it, but when I screwed it in, it cracked. They're not letting the drill do the work, and when they get to the end, you got to let off, and people are just blowing out the back of the tile and making a crater, so there's no meat back there anymore. And so if the thin set isn't good and there's no meat of the tile and they go to tighten it down, it cracks the tile. It leaves little micro fissures, just like how it is when we cut glass or drill holes in glass. Same with tile, so it's easy to cause it to crack.
So you're saying the key to that is what? At the end of the
Let off.
hole?
Yeah,
just kind of back off the pressure a little bit.
Just back off, because all the tile we drill, we use hammer drills on everything that we drill, like porcelain, whatever. I mean, we're drilling holes in 10 seconds a hole with Relton V-groove bits, with just a cordless hammer drill, goes right through it like butter.
Same here.
But you can feel it when you get to the end of that hole, and it's a different sound, just like it is with mirror. When you're coming to the end, so you just got to let off so you're not pushing too hard.
100% true.
Good tip, man. Yep.
You're killing me, Keith.
Sorry. There's a birthday gift from Billy Brent.
Right. He just showing that love, baby. Just showing that love.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nice.
By the way, Brandon, the southern term is wallered. Waller the hole out.
Oh yeah, Waller.
Wallard. I'm using that tomorrow. How do you spell that?
Did you Waller it though? I want to know.
I'll tell you what, though, the hardest part about having
he forgot the Waller down.
The hardest part about having multiple locations in different parts of the country is when you're talking to people and you're not saying stuff right, and this guy's not a local, huh?
No.
Yeah. You ain't from around here, are you?
I love it. Well, that's all we have time for tonight, folks.
Good night.
All right.
Thanks for coming on over. We'll see you again next Wednesday.